through which cattle, sheep become consumer goods. It depicts the processing and transportation of meat products by a highly automated packing plant, illustrating important points and problems in the areas of production, transportation, logistics, equipment design, time motion study, and labor management. And this was done in 1976. This will make you want a hamburger. Be like, I'm so hungry. I want a hamburger right now. That looks delish. So if you get a no thank you. Yeah, so if you're interested in getting some great film that is Wasalu Jaco Lupe Fiasco approved, dig into that Jew Frederick Wiseman and his amazing collection of films. You will not be let down in any shape, way, or form. They can also be very therapeutic, and because they're almost meditative, which is why his films are so like they're meditative, like because there is no breaking the fourth wall, so to speak. Like they're not talking to you, so it becomes a very passive experience, and it becomes like you could just put it on and have it on and just kind of be there. There's dialogue, there's people talking, it's interesting. There's one called Boxing, which is really good, which is as you can see, as he gets later into like modern times, the tone feels a little bit different. So the films that are done in the 90s and I think in the 2000s, those films have a different feel to them than the earlier work. Probably less meditative, but the early work is very classic. So anyway, that's it. Also, how did I jump off this tangent? I want to get back to another tangent that I went on. So I posted yesterday a thing about black on black crime. I posted a news story about a boy in Chicago, I think he was 19, who supposedly, according to the police, shot two boys. They were 16 and 15, killed them after they were in a store together, and the boys asked a gas station, and the boys asked him how tall he was. And then after they left the store, the boy followed them up an alley and chased him, pulled out a gun and killed him, shot him in the back or something like that. And then the reason that the police said that the reason that they said that he killed them because they asked him how tall he was, and dude was like 6'3", was that there was a third person who was a witness who was with them, who said that was the extent of the altercation. Like they didn't have any, like it wasn't like a fight, it wasn't like anything going on. And again, that person has yet to, we don't know if that person was telling the truth or not. I don't know if they had beef before, nobody knows, but that was what was said. But they didn't know this boy, right? They didn't know this other dude at all. And you know, the boy said that the witness said that the only thing that they actually said anything to do about was they asked him how tall he was, because he was tall. And I posted that up, and I put a comment underneath it that says, you know, no comment, but good thing that black on black crime doesn't exist, because if it did, this would be fucking horrifying. And that response was to some people were kind of lost on why I would post that, and people don't follow the chats or follow any other posts. They'd be like, oh, nah, you just coming out the woodworks with this shit. And I was like, no, I've been talking about black on black crime for a while. And a lot of times, at least on social media, and it's becoming more prevalent, there's this pushback against people talking about black on black crime. Some people say that it's not the right time for it in its most passive kind of capacity. Like we could focus, we could talk about this another time. There's more pressing issues in the black community. It's like, okay. There's on the more extreme end, there's people who say that it's a myth, that it doesn't even exist, and that what it really is, with kind of some follow-up explanation on that, is that, you know, it's just crime and it should be addressed as just crime. You shouldn't have to specify it based to the demographic, because what is that going to prove? Blah, 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 blah. There's people that are lean more toward the middle, where they say, well, you know, it's real, but, you know, it's why aren't you talking about white on white crime in the same way, Latino on Latino crime the same way, Asian on Asian crime, blah, 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 blah. Then you have this piece about proximity. Then there's another piece where people say, oh, that's just a right-wing talking point to deflect from folks who are, when you address systems or officials with police brutality, or crime in just police crime in general, those people will respond back with, well, what about black on black crime? And they feel that that comes from people who are right wingers or conservative talking points who want to obfuscate and distract the conversation to, to black on black crime and not really deal with the police or any other kind of issue, right? They'll say, well, what about black on black crime? They're like, yo, what about, these schools suck? I'm like, well, what about black on black crime? And people feel like that's the thing. So I just want to clarify my position. I'm not white. I am not a politician. I am not a right-wing conservative. And then people ask, well, what are you doing about black on black crime? There's people who do all kinds of, people talk about, and then that's the other piece. People talk about black on black crime all the time. There's people doing stuff, but we never highlight them and never highlight them. And it's like, I know. I actually started an organization to help combat black on black crime. It's called Project Orange. And I think they developed it into Project Orange Tree. It was the friends of Hadia, the girl who was killed. She was an innocent bystanders. This dude chased this dude through the park and just started killing people. And she was murdered. She went to Kenwood High School. And I actually knew a bunch of her friends, or my family knew a bunch of her friends that were directly correlated to the Lupe Fiasco Foundation. And so I got them kids together and organized them and started Project Orange. And Project Orange was, you wear orange as the color because it's loud, but also orange is the color that hunters wear when they're out hunting so they don't get shot, right? Because if you're just wearing camouflage in the woods, you're going to get killed, right? So they wear these big orange vests or orange hats so they don't get killed by other hunters. And Project Orange Tree went on, and they say that it got hijacked by the wider kind of Project Orange Tree group, which probably some of you all know, which was picked up this task of violence, but then they kind of skewed it to other spots, and it kind of went away directly from what were some of the issues that Project Orange Tree was doing. And what I did with Project Orange Tree and with the members was there was try to organize them in a certain militaristic way, where they started every program or every meeting with them lining up shoulder width apart, just so they could feel and understand what organization looked like in a physical sense. But then also gave them kind of tactics and strategies, identified people within the group who needed to be the political voice, who needed to have the different connections, and then provided them with kind of the political connections that they needed. So it just wasn't play. But then also had meetings about strategy and tactics and different things that they could do in the neighborhoods and building up their shit and stuff. Blah, blah, blah. So it was a very pitched, very campaign, very deep, but it needed to be autonomous. It needed to be self-ruled, and they needed to run it. And these were all teenagers in high school. So that's what I did as it relates to black on black violence in the neighborhood. And I've donated to things, and I've done all kinds of other stuff. And my record is clear on that. But just in case you did not know, just to clarify the position, like, I am one of those people who's been on the side fighting this. I've actually went and got the dudes who were killing the people in the hood, took them to the studio, did things, did that, did this. Like, I was there, going to these neighborhoods and talking to these people, yo, so what's going on? Talking to their moms, giving people lawyer money, just an array of things that people would say, well, what are you doing? I've done it all, right? And I also know that even in the midst of doing it all, there are other things that are not being done, right? And that there's certain walls and certain kind of things that you hit, which are no-goes. And it requires a bigger community conversation and a bigger community effort than just these kind of individual groups tactically trying to solve specific hotspots or certain issues. And then I also know that a lot of those tactical hotspots and issues that the people that is directly towards, this was the issue with Project Orange Tree, and this was a challenge that I presented to the group. And the challenge was, how come there are no killers in our meetings, right? How come there's no killers here, right? How come none of the dudes that are actually doing the killing, do you know any of these killers, right? That's a problem. How can you stop the things that you don't know, right? What is that? What does it take to build those relationships with the folks that are actually out there doing these things? And do you think that that's successful? And it became presenting the big issues where, yes, we understand that we can do this and we can talk to this alderman and we can put money here and we can get t-shirts and we can do this and we can cooperate with this organization and this. But if you don't have the people in the room that are actually doing it, then how effective is this campaign